Yeah, exactly. All right, man. With me today is Jaime Hernandez, Army veteran, black belt Jiu Jitsu practitioner. Thank you for being on the show with me today, Jaime. I really appreciate it, big dog.
Hey, thank you for the invite, bro. It's an honor.
Absolutely. So you were telling me, man, your kids are growing up.
Yeah, I have three. My oldest is 28. My middle one's 18. She's my new adult. She's been an adult now for about 3 weeks. And my little one is 16. He'll be 17 in September. So he got 1 year of high school left. And, then I might be all alone after that. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do after that. I haven't posed the question because I'm a little scared of the answer. About
being alone?
Well, they might decide they might want to gravitate outwards.
I mean, that's what kids do, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not against the idea. It's just not something I want to think about right now.
Yeah. Well, I know that you're really close to your kids. You guys do quite a bit of cool stuff together. You guys go to concerts. I've seen you guys riding camels or horses.
Horses in Nevada.
I mean, you guys are doing all kinds of stuff. You guys went to that one place where we
went to Four Corners. That was funny. We were vacationing in Nevada, and I was with somebody who put the idea in my head. So I was like, you know what? Let me go check that out. So it ended up being a 6-hour drive to get to the Four Corners. We went through Nevada, Utah, Arizona, into New Mexico. We were there, and 20 minutes later, we were in the car going back.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because that's all there is to see. It's pretty much an X on the ground, and
Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, hey, that seems like a pretty cool thing to do.
Yeah, but
there's just nothing around.
Yeah, there's nothing around there. But what's funny is from there, we went to the Code Talkers National Museum, and it's in a Burger King.
Inside of a Burger King?
It's inside of a Burger King.
There's a museum inside of a Burger King.
Correct.
So what kind of museum is it? What's in there?
They have displays for the Code Talkers, the Navajo Code Talkers from World War II.
Oh.
That served in the Marine Corps. They have uniforms, they have citations, they have medals.
They were called the Code Talkers?
The Code Talkers, yeah. They made a movie about them.
Well, for people who don't know what that is, who are the Code Talkers, or are the Code Talkers?
Well, in World War II, the government found a group of Navajo Indians who spoke the native tongue, and they created a code out of the native tongue, and they recruited a bunch of them to go fight in the South Pacific to do communications, calling airstrikes, reports, all this kind of stuff. And they wanted to set up, a movie came out about them, and I guess they wanted to make a museum, and they made it inside of a Burger King. Half the building is the restaurant, the other half is, displays. Which is I thought it was kind of funny, but at the same time, it's pretty cool, but it's kind of sad that they got to do it inside of a Burger King, that they don't have their own dedicated building.
Yeah, why do you suppose that is? I mean,
you know what? It's a lot of it's finances. You got to find a sponsor, and Burger King might have thought, hey, you know what? It attracts people to the business because they want to see this. Because basically, the Burger King's the middle of nowhere. It's right. I believe it's right off the reservation. So it's not on reservation land, but it's still in the middle of nowhere.
I mean, is it a large Burger King, or how big is the museum itself? How big are we? Like the size of this room right here?
It would fill maybe half this room.
Oh wow!
It's not. There may be 3 or 4 displays in there.
Now you called them the Code Talkers because I thought you said coat. But it's Code.
CODE, code.
Yeah, I got you. So if I remember correctly, I think I did see a movie about this where they took the Navajo. Was it not the Navajo? Was it the Navajo language? What?
Yeah. The native Navajo tongue.
Yeah.
And they made a code out of it. Like
right.
I saw some of them on a different TV show, and like the native word for the word for turtle was code for tank. Different birds meant different types of aircraft.
And the military needed this code to prevent the enemy from deciphering the messages that we were trying to get to either our troops or our allies in order to conduct military operations.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Correct.
Okay. And are these the same Native Americans that where they is it the same movie when they shave their heads, or the same documentary when they shave their heads and they end up not being able to? What was that movie? Actually, I'm thinking of something different. It was a movie when they end up shaving their heads because, Native American, they had the long hair, right?
Right.
And they lost some kind of ability to detect the enemy out in the jungles when they started shaving their heads. Have you seen that movie?
I'm not aware of that movie.
Oh, okay. All right, no big deal.
Yeah. But I do know there's a real famous picture of a couple of Native guys. I don't know what tribe they're from or what nation they're from, so I'm very ignorant on that. But these were two guys that were, First Nations people. They shaved mohawks and they put war paint on right before they jumped into D-Day. Oh, wow. So that's pretty, and the caption was like, you might be cool, but you're never, two natives jumping into D-Day cool.
You referred to, I've been referring to them as Native Americans. You just referred to them as First Nation people. Is that a more accurate?
You know what? There's so many descriptors for them that I don't even, I'm trying to be respectful.
Yeah.
But it's the same with us, so, with like myself. Hey, you're Chicano, you're Mexicano, you're Mexican American. It's, there's so many ways to say it, but you're all trying to say the same thing.
Sure.
And you're just trying to be respectful.
Now, you used the word Chicano. When I was growing up, that's what my mom used to always call us, Chicanos. She would always say, you're a Chicano. What does it mean to be a Chicano?
Well, you know what? It means something. It means a different thing for everybody, In my family, Chicano wasn't always viewed in a positive light, because for us, it was just a different way of saying pocho.
Yeah, like
and pocho just is it's a derogatory term for a Mexican American.
Right.
My dad was like, yeah, we're Mexican, in my house we speak Spanish.
Right.
That's the culture I grew up in. I had very, very strong parents. I'm very grateful for that. There's a lot of carryover to my brothers and myself with the work ethic and and just the morals they instilled into us. I would not be the parent I am now without the example that my parents set for me.
Now, you're the son of a farmer, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Where did your dad grow up, and where was he?
My dad grew up in Jalisco, a town called Mechoacanejo. And in Los Altos de Jalisco were the mountain people, So, we're kind of like rednecks, Mexican rednecks. They're from a very small town, and like most small towns, everybody's related to each other, So a lot of the stereotypes about, that everybody being related in Alabama is the same as my hometown in Mexico, or my parents' hometown in Mexico. Everybody there is related.
So your mom is from there too?
Correct.
So that's where they met. Were you born?
No. They did not meet there.
Oh no.
No. They my grandfather, my mom's dad, he traveled up north to work a farm in Arizona. A little while later, my dad also traveled up north, and he ended up working in the same farm as my grandfather. He took, my grandfather took a shining to my dad, invited him over for dinner one night, and so he's there dinner with my grandfather, and that's where he first caught sight of my mom. And so then after that, my dad found various excuses to go visit my grandfather so he could go sneak peeks at my mom. Right. And then here's the funny part about that, right? So this happens then a few weeks later, my dad comes home, he's living with, my grandfather, my dad's dad, he had abandoned the family So my dad worked a little while, and he was able to bring his family, his brothers, and his mom, my grandmother, up north to live with him. And so, so a few months later, after my dad, sort of met my mom, he comes home, right? And so my paternal grandmother there and my maternal grandmother are there, and along with my mom and her sisters. And my dad walks in, he's like, "What's going on?" And come to find out, my mom and dad are like 5th or 6th cousins, because again, that small town, everybody's somehow related.
Yeah.
So my mom and dad are like cousins.
Yeah, wow. They're so far removed. It's
Right.
Like, yeah.
Right. But
Right.
technically.
Right.
Yeah. So like I said, we're all hillbillies.
Is your dad still with us?
No, he passed away a couple years ago. It took 3 heart attacks to take him out. He's like I said, he was a very, very strong man.
Were you guys close?
In some aspects, yes. And in some ways, yes. In some ways, no. We could go months without speaking, but every time we saw each other, it's like the conversation never ended. It would just pick up where it left off, But once my dad had a second heart attack, I made more of an effort to visit him as often as I could, because I knew,
What was the distance between you guys when he had his second heart attack? Where was he living?
He was living in Sonora, a border town called San Luis Rio Colorado. It's 20 miles from Yuma.
Oh, okay.
Now that they've changed, back in the day, the speed limit was 55, and it was a 6-hour drive. Now it's 65, 75, and it's anywhere from 4.5 to 5 hours.
Oh, okay.
So it's not that far, There was times where I would get off work early, say 2 or 3. I'd drive into Mexico, have dinner with my dad, drive back home.
How often were you doing that?
Not super often, because it's a 9-hour turnaround. But there were just days that, like I said, I'd get off work, 1 or 2, and I knew I'd have to be back to work till the next day about 9 or 10. So I knew, mathematically, I could go there, come home, get a few hours sleep, and so I'd just take advantage of that time when every chance I get. I said it wasn't very often. Maybe 3 or 4 times a year, I would just go for like dinner. But pretty much, I would have like 3 weeks of vacation, and all my vacation time I spent here with my dad.
Was there, because I noticed that you spend quite a bit of time with your kids. Like it's, I think that's wonderful. I see all the amazing things you guys do together and stuff. And
well, it's with that, we have my ex-wife and myself, we have a very different type of a custody arrangement. I'm very overprotective of my kids, and I wanted to be sure that they would be safe. So we don't share like normal people share like weeks, or other people that share weeks. Monday. One parent gets them Monday and Tuesday. The other parents get them like Wednesday through Friday. In my order, they spend pretty much every night at my house, and they spend the daytime with their mom. Oh. So this way I know, at night, they're safe. It works for us. I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, that's the way you got to do it. But it works for us, and it allows me to, very important for me. I kiss my kids goodnight. I kiss them in the morning when they wake up or when I go to work. Because you never know. What's gonna happen during the day or whatever. So I always want my kids to know that their last words from me is always gonna be, "I love you and have a good day."
And their mom was open to that?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, because the way her her living arrangement, her schedule was at that time, and it made sense. It made sense to both of us. That's why I was able to work. And like I said, it's not going to work for everybody, but it worked for us, and I'm very grateful. I get to see my kids pretty much every day. They're I think 5 days out of the month, 6 days out of the month, they're I don't get to see them because they're with their mom exclusively, but every other day, the other 24, 25 days of the month, I get to see them. So, like I said, super grateful.
There's a lot of young dads out there. We know some together. What do you think the most important thing, if there's some words of wisdom you'd give to a young father, what do you think? What would it be?
You just got to be present. Not just because some parents that I've seen, they're there, but they're not present.
How so? How so?
Like say as an example, we'll go to the park, okay, and some parents know that their kids can run around free, so they're not really focusing on the kids, focusing more on the adults,
Yeah.
Whereas, what I'll try to do is, I'll spend some time with the adults because, obviously you need that adult interaction. You just can't always be around the kids. But I'm always, keeping an eye on my kids. I'm always, even if it looks like I'm not paying attention, I'm paying attention. I'm looking to see where they're at. And every so often I'll excuse myself from the group. I'm like, hey, I walk over. I'm like, hey, you guys doing all right? You guys bored yet? Let me know when you want to go. Because I don't want them to be someplace where, they're not happy.
Yeah.
I tell my family, for myself, my life ended the day I became a dad. By that I mean, me making all my choices with me being at the center of the decision. That time is over. Everything I do now is focused on my kids. If it's not gonna improve them or make them better, it's not something I'm really interested in. And because you have to spend time with your kids. At some point you have to spend time with them. I was lucky enough that I was able to spend as much time as I could with my kids, and hopefully put the right morals and the right decision making skills into them. So when they're able to walk away, they'll walk away strong level-headed people. I have other friends of mine that they really didn't spend a lot of time with their kids as when they were small. Then they got into trouble as teenagers. Now they're spending a lot of time with them as teenagers, trying to straighten them out because they also want them to be good adults. But I'm like, dude, you should have been doing that the whole time, and you wouldn't be going through these issues now.
Where did you learn that from? Did you spend a lot of time with your dad as a kid, or where did you learn it from?
I wish I could say. No, my parents were immigrants here to America. My mom did a lot of double shifts. My dad had 2 jobs until he got hurt. After he got hurt, he was legally disabled, so he wasn't able to work after that. So I got to spend some time with my dad after that.
How old were you when that happened?
I was about 7 or 8 when my dad got hurt. So from that point forward, I spent a lot of time with my dad. But where I got really lucky is I had a very strong older brother, and he's as much my parent as my parents. He was always there for me. He always took care of me. Sorry,
it's okay.
And he, like I said, he made sure nobody bullied me. But he wasn't that guy that was like, if someone tried starting something with me and he was like my size, my age, he was like, hey, dude, you got to handle it yourself. I'm not, this is your time, But if somebody tried bullying me who was like, bigger or older, my brother didn't put up with that, So, he was always there to look out for me, but he wasn't there to baby me, so to speak.
Where's your brother now?
He shares time. He's retired now. He like my dad. He became disabled. He had a brain tumor in his mid-30s. So he wasn't able to work after that. But so he shares time in America and then in my dad's house in Mexico. But he moved more to Mexico after his son turned 18 because Was always there for my nephew Vince. Till he turned 18. Once Vince was 18, he was like, "Hey, you're a man now. Do your thing." And that's when my brother stepped back a little bit and started doing more for himself. And like I said, it just both my brothers and myself were all very involved with their children. Both my brothers, well, my little brother, he had children before me, and we saw him do that. And we're very competitive in my family. It's like, hey man, my brother can't outdo me. I got to be just as good as him when it comes to this.
How many siblings did you have?
There was supposed to be 5, but only 3 of us are around. There was it was funny. My mom spent her first 4 years of marriage. She was pregnant the entire time. Her first 4 children, they were all born 11 months apart. So it was my older brother Alfredo, my sister Shelia. She passed away from childhood illness at about 4 months. Then myself, my brother George was born stillborn, and then 6 years later, my little brother Jose came. So there's 3 boys, and it was a all boy household. So there's always something going on.
I could see that you have a deep affection for your family, for your brothers and your siblings and your parents. Did you always have, I know that you ride motorcycles and have a passion for cars and stuff like that. Do you still have cars that you work on and stuff?
Yes. I right now I'm working a little bit on my kids' cars, and well, one of my truck's getting worked on. It's other people are doing all the work on it, and I'll eventually get it back.
That's the '59 Chevy?
No, that's the '67 Ford. I got that truck because my dad had a '68, and I grew up in that truck, and I wanted my dad's truck, but unable to get it. So I got So I got something as close to it as I could, and that's my '67, and that's getting worked on, and I'll get it eventually, and it's gonna be great.
You wanted your dad's actual truck, or just the same?
No, I wanted my dad's. wanted my dad's truck.
Did it go to another family member?
No. Without me knowing, my dad traded it in for another vehicle.
Oh,
right. And this is hilarious because my dad he grabbed my tío Ramon, his brother, and they went to the dealership, and my dad traded in his truck, and they drove back to my uncle's house, my tío's house, in his new truck. When my dad got to my uncle's house, he was like, "I want my truck back." Right. So they jumped back in the new truck, and all my dad wanted to do was buy the truck back. Give him money and get the truck back. He wasn't going to trade in the new truck. He just wanted his truck. He was away from the dealership maybe half hour. He gets back there, and they're like, "Hey, my dad's like, hey man, I'm very sorry. I want to buy my truck." And the dude's like, "Hey man, I'm sorry. We just sold it."
That fast?
It was that fast.
Wow.
What I'm thinking is somebody from the lot said, "I want that,"
and just drove it in the back.
And they just drove it in the back. Yeah.
Oh, what a bummer.
Yeah.
So are you part of a car club or?
No. I have my very close friends, Bubba and Moses. They're part of a car club. It's called the Satan Shriners. A lot of the members are from here in Whittier, and those are the guys that I hang out with. And I'm hoping that eventually, when I get my truck back, that they'll accept me in their club, because they're great guys, and those are the guys that I like spending time with.
Oh, okay. You had mentioned to me that you were in the Army Reserves.
I was in the National Guard, yeah.
Or the National Guard. And I actually learned some about that because I saw that you were in a commercial. Or not a commercial, I'm sorry. I don't know what you call that, like a segment. You're in some kind of a news segment where I guess you work at Octa?
Yeah, at
Are you still at
OCTA.
OCTA or are you retired?
No, I'm still there. I've been there for 30 years. I got about another 4.5, 4 3/4. I'm gonna retire out of there in early 29. So
And you were deployed a couple of times as a National Guard. Where did you go?
My first deployment was September 18th. I actually landed in Saudi Arabia September 18th of 2001 as part of the advance party. And I was there to help secure housing and get the supplies for when the company showed up. We would all have a place to live. I was there for 7 months, and we provided security for a missile site in Saudi Arabia.
Did you make a lot of friends out there?
I made some, but like in the military, it's kind of like high school. You make friends in the moment, then you move on, and you really never talk again, and that's how a lot of my Army friends are like that. I have there's a small handful that we still communicate. Not an everyday thing, but maybe every couple weeks we'll send a message, check on each other. Every so often we hear word that someone's having a hard time, so we'll go check on them, make sure they're doing fine.
What's a common? How are the men having a hard? Like, what's going on with them that they're having a hard time?
Just normal life stuff, I guess. Divorce, that happens quite a bit. You can't blame that on the military.
Right.
That, or sometimes they can't keep a job, can't find a job. Problems with their kids. And those are what I call the temporary issues, right? And you can kind of work around that, try to find solutions for them. The ones that are difficult are my friends that fall into depression, or they fall into substance abuse, and that's a lot harder to deal with because not all of them are willing or able to seek help. I've lost a few friends from substance abuse, from suicide, and it's just such a shame because I'm trying to find the right words. It's that potential that's lost, and that's probably the saddest thing is, potential that hasn't been fulfilled.
Yeah, that's one of the main purposes of this show. I've talked about it a few times. The amount of years that I've wasted as a drunk and a pothead and all that kind of stuff. 25 years of basically most of my life, and I talk a lot with other guests on the show about the wasted talent and part of the lie of that it's too late to make a change in your life. I think a lot of people that suffer from addiction convince themselves that their life, any chance of having a normal or a good life or making positive changes in their life has come and gone. And what is something that you tell these men when they're in that mindset? What is it that you're able to tell them if they are willing to make some kind of a change?
Well, for some people, it's like really hard because they're so far into it, that to have them try to dig their way out or swim their way out because then the water's so deep it becomes difficult. But the one thing that has helped me, and I tell them, I say, hey man, everybody's going to have a different trigger that's going to trigger their recovery or trigger their change or a change of mind. I go, dude, just think about the one thing that always makes you smile. The one thing, as soon as you see it, you can't help but feel better, right? And just focus on that. Some days it's going to be bad where it's not, hour by hour, dude. It's going to be like second by second, and just one thing that I've learned is not everything is forever. Right? The only thing that's forever is death, So everything short of that isn't forever. So whatever you're going through, there's going to be an end to it, you know, and as long as you don't lose focus, hey man, you know, there's a light there, you know, all you got to do is work your way towards it, you know, and some people choose to walk away from it, and, you know, that's unfortunate, it's sad, but, you know, as long as you keep making that forward progress, you know, today I felt good for 2 minutes, you know, next day, dude, I felt good for 3 minutes, you know, you're still moving forward, you know, little steps are still steps, you know.
What do you think about when, do you have moments like that?
You know what? I'll be honest with you, man. Right now, I'm like in a very happy place.
Man, that's amazing. That's
you know, I have great kids. I have a good life. I have a job that I enjoy. I have, I live next door to my mom, so I'm able to see my mom whenever I want.
Like literally next door?
Next door. I'm some guys are like, I moved this far, dude. I moved 20 feet.
Yeah.
I was able to get the house next door to my mom.
Right.
So I'm like super lucky with that. She's helping me a lot with my kids, and, so we're able to see her and stuff and help her out whenever we can. I'm in a really good place, and I'm like, I'm blessed. And there's days where I where I make myself stop. I stop and I'm like, dude, breathe, look around, bro. Enjoy this moment, because, you might not have a moment this good for a long time. Something could happen tomorrow or the next few minutes. You might get that phone call, so just take a stop, look around, look at the sun, and just soak in that moment, and I'm able to do that, quite a bit, man. And like I said, I'm truly blessed, man, that, that I'm in a good spot, and it takes a lot of hard work to get here, but it's, the fruits of your labor type thing, man. I'm like super happy.
You haven't said it, but it sounds like you're coming from a place of gratitude. Like you've learned to be grateful.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't take anything for granted, and that's really the heart of the matter. I'm grateful for everything, and I am thankful, for my friendships, with you, the friendships I have at the gym, the friendships I have at work, that I'm able to provide for my family, that we don't have to struggle. The one thing that I'm super proud of is I've never had to say no to my kids for anything because I couldn't afford it. And these are all things that make me happy, things that I'm grateful for, because not everybody has that. And there was times in my life, where I wouldn't have been able to have this, and I'm not religious, but I'm very spiritual, and I have conversations with God, and I thank Him for everything. I would not be here without His grace.
Is that any God in particular, or you just believe in a higher power?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
Correct.
Gotcha.
I was raised Catholic, and so my God would probably be that God, but I also believe that the God that I pray to is the same God that the Muslims pray to, that the Jewish people pray to, that the Native Americans pray to. They take a lot of different names, and I've studied a bunch of different religions, and with every religion, all of them have the same basic truths. You'll be a good person, you'll be a good parent, you'll be a good son. And every religion on earth pretty much says the same thing. They just say it in different ways. You just have to cut through the noise to get to the heart of the matter. And and once you realize that every religion is saying the same thing, you understand. It's all the same message, and if it's the same message, it's probably coming from the same being. So to me, it's the same God. I don't know if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. Absolutely. You had mentioned that you were in Saudi Arabia. You were deployed. You said you were deployed one other place?
Yeah, I went to Kosovo, which was part of Serbia. And I went there I was there all 2005. I got activated late 2004. I was there all 2005, and I made it home in 2006.
You were doing the same kind of work out there?
For there, I was doing...
Because you were an infantryman, right?
Correct. So like I said, in Saudi, I was security for missile site. And in Kosovo, we did peacekeeping missions, which back in the day before we got there, a couple years before there, the Serbians were coming into the Kosovo province, and they're doing ethnic cleansing and clearing towns out so they could take over the towns. And so we were there just basically as a blocking force to make sure that the Serbians didn't come up. It wasn't a border; it was called the ABL, the Administrative Boundary Line, and they're making sure that the Serbians stayed on their side of the line, and we patrolled that line, and we patrolled the cities, and we also scoured the countryside for landmines, because I guess back in the day they'd put just thousands and thousands of landmines. And they were sure they hadn't recovered them all. So every so often we'd go out there with metal detectors and, sweep the fields for landmines.
You can, would you mind pushing this down just like half an inch? Yeah, right about there.
Okay.
Were there any close calls, or did you see any battle? Or
No, we got really lucky. We only had to, I think we only had to go into one or two homes to search for weapons. So like I said, we were just there more to, I guess doing a lot of the same role as police would do here on stateside. Just making sure nothing was going on, making sure that everything was peaceable.
Now you were doing that you were in the National Guard, right? For 22 years?
I ended up serving 24 in total. I did. Wow. Including my 2 activations, I did 6 years of active duty, because my first 4 years in the military, I was an everyday soldier. I was stationed in Louisiana at Fort Polk. Then I got out for a year. I was completely out the service, let my hair grow. Then I got a phone call right when Desert Storm hit, and I got activated. I was put in a reserve unit. I was there for just under a year. That unit closed down. Then I transferred to the National Guard, and I went back to my active duty job, which was in the infantry, and I stayed there until I retired. So I ended up doing 24 years in total.
How long ago did you retire?
In 2010.
Oh, wow. So you've been out a little bit?
I've been out a little bit, yeah.
Oh, that's great. And how long have you been at ARCTA?
I've been there since 93. That's my civilian job.
So that's pretty cool. I guess they held your spot for you.
Well, they didn't have a choice. There's laws in place.
Oh, that's good.
There's laws in place. And no, but I do remember when I was in Saudi Arabia, because we, like I said, we were National Guard providing security for the missile site, but the people who actually ran the missile site, they were active duty soldiers. And I remember having conversations with some of them, and they were like, man, my contract's about to expire. I don't know what I'm going to do. I got a family, and they were, talking about making a transition to, whether they want to transition to the civilian world or if they were going to stay in the military. And they were like, hey man, so, what do you do? I said, dude, I got a job. I work for Orange County. They're holding my job. I'm coming out here. I'm playing Army. And when playtime's over, I go back to work. They got to treat me like I never left. So all the raises I would have gotten, they got to give them to me on my vacation time, on my sick time. They got to give them to me as if I was there. One of the funniest things is while I was deployed, I got a 2 perfect attendance bonus, because they had to treat me as if I was there. I didn't spend a day on the job, but I got the bonus for perfect attendance.
That's cool.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, that is funny. Hey, he's an empty chair, but he's got perfect attendance.
Correct.
I love it.
Yeah.
You still riding your motorcycle?
Yeah. I had an accident a few years ago.
Ooh.
I ended up I broke my pelvis in 2 places. I lost all the ligaments in one of my knees. I got 2 pins and a plate holding my waist together. I got cadaver tissue in my knee.
Say cadaver tissue?
Yeah.
So you got a dead person's...
Correct. I'm 2 souls in one.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, but you know what? You know, I always thought that the organ donors, I was always against that. But I've reconsidered since then. I'm probably going to be an organ donor. Because without that, dude, I want to be walking. I want to be able to do a lot of the stuff that I'm doing. Jiu-jitsu would just be, you know, be out of the question. I'd have no use in my right knee.
That's interesting, you know, because a lot of people don't want to give up their body parts because some people think the government's gonna, oh, he's a donor, let's go get him.
Yeah.
You know, but
he's no. I'm lucky, dude. I'm the universal donor. I'm O positive, you know. So
that's the blood where
and anybody can receive it.
Oh wow!
Right. If you're O blood, everybody can receive it. Like I said, so they're not, you know. I'm not that.
Is that a common to have that O blood?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's pretty common. But I'm saying I'm not that weird blood type that, you know, only one person has, and you share that blood type with the president, so they got to kill you so the president can live.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like that. So
right.
I'm pretty fortunate in that part. So they can, you know, they can let me live a long life, and hopefully my organs will still be good enough for use. But because like yourself, I abused myself for a little while in my younger days.
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah.
So you used to be on the SAS?
I used to
drink?
I used to drink quite a bit.
And was it something you just stopped doing, or were you out of control?
No. It's what do you call it? The reason I retired from the military was they discovered I was diabetic. Ooh. Right. And as a matter, and you know, that may or may not have saved my life because I failed the pre-deployment physical to go to Afghanistan when they discovered I was diabetic.
Really?
Yeah. If I'd have passed that physical, I would have gone to Afghanistan. Right. So they were like, hey, you passed the physical, you can't go. But if you get it cleared up within, you know, X amount of days, you can join your group, man. So I was like, dude, there's no way I'm diabetic. There's no way. So
did you want to go?
Oh, for sure. You know, my friends weren't going to go to war without me. I mean, that just, you know, I just hate saying those words, man. Just no, man. If the guys I trained, if they're going, I got to be there. You know, they're, you know, and so, you know, so they told me on a Sunday, dude, you're diabetic. I said, no, I didn't believe it. So 2 days later, I was at Kaiser taking a blood test. They're like, yeah, bro, you're diabetic. I'm like, that's 2 people. I'm like, no, this isn't right. The following day, I went to the VA, took another blood test, and they were like, yeah, dude, you're diabetic. So I had failed three screens within a week.
Like full-blown diabetic, or like they said you had the pre-diabetic?
No, I was diabetic, man. I had to go on medication, you know, and my first week on medication was the night of a UFC. And I was a beer and a half in when the alcohol reacted with my medication, and I started going down. And
how so? What do you mean?
And my blood sugar dropped. You know, normal is 100, and I was below 50. And it happened like, you know, in the snap of a finger. I was talking to my friend Carson, and in the middle of a sentence, I started slurring, and my eyes started rolling up, and I started shaking. And they're like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Dude, I think I need sugar." You know, so I took out I had my blood tester with me, and I checked it out, and it was like super low. It was super low, and he's like, I don't have any fruit, but I think I have a piece of candy. So he went, and he came back with a candy cane, and the candy cane was like ancient. It was from like off the Christmas tree. You know, it was all moist and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so I had to break it open, and I'm like chewing on it, and it raised my blood sugar to a level where I was able to walk to the store and get some real food into me. And that was pretty much the last time I drank. Because, you know, at that point, my kids, they were like 3 and 4. And I was like, dude, what if this had happened if I was behind the wheel? Because it came on so fast.
Yeah.
You know, I just couldn't risk it because I had my kids to look out for.
You got perspective right away.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned that you got a cadaver tissue. Cadaver tissue.
Yeah.
And that because of that, you've been able to train jiu-jitsu. Tell me, you're a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
Tell me, when did you start training jiu-jitsu?
I started training when I came back from my first deployment, and I started training late 2002, early 2003, around that time frame.
Where did you start your jiu-jitsu journey? What gym?
I started in Bellflower, was called ISA, and my first instructor was Fernando Vasconcelos, and he was maybe about 26 when I started training with them, and at that time he had the record of being the youngest Brazilian world champ. He earned it, I believe, when he was 22.
Yeah.
Right, and
put this down just a little more. Yeah, I don't want it to be all like super loud.
Yeah. So I started training with him, and I trained with him for a couple years. Then I deployed again. Then I recovered from my I had a few injuries during deployment, so I recovered. Then I went back to the gym. Then a couple years later, he had to close the school because he got hired on to be a police officer for the city of Azusa. So from there, I went to New Breed, and I was there for a number of years. Then I transferred to Noah's School, Tillis Jiu-Jitsu in Whittier.
This one, Tillis MMA?
Yep, he's the gentleman that gave me my black belt.
Actually, I was there for that, and that was quite an emotional moment. How did you feel that moment when you got your black belt?
You know what? It was. It wasn't so much. I wasn't so emotional because I got my black belt, right? Where I felt gratitude in the moment. I was more emotional about is that I also trained with my son, and that was he's since then he's decided he doesn't want to do jiu-jitsu anymore, but he was there the day I got my black belt, and I'll always be grateful for that. That he was there. He saw me work all those years to get it, and he was there when I achieved it, and that's priceless, bro. I mean, to do something like that with your child, you can't. I can't put that into words. I was grateful for them. I was grateful for Noah. Because at any point you could have said like, yeah, dude, this isn't for you, bro. You're old now. Because I earned my black belt I was 55 when I got my black belt. I'd been training for 20 years. And at any point, anybody could say, dude, man, you've been at this for 20 and you still haven't achieved. You're never gonna get it. And so, I just kind of keep that a little bit in perspective. It's like, hey, you just can't. When you do something you love and you keep at it, eventually you're going to succeed. There's that and that's one of the lessons that I wanted to make sure my kids saw. That
what's that lesson? What?
You put in the work, you reap the rewards from putting in that work. I wanted to be, because I believe we're examples, for your kids and for others, And I'm sure there's other older guys in the gym. They're like, man, if Jaime could do it, I can do it too.
Yeah. I'm a big believer that you are an example. You're right. I think that when it comes to jiu-jitsu black belt, that there should be a black belt is a representative of the sport and should be a black belt in life. Somebody who cares about his community, his family. What's that word? Exemplifies what it is to be a jiu-jitsu black belt. there's people that I've met through my journey, and I'm like, man, that guy is a black belt. You know, like that's a guy who, you know, it's hard for me to say this, you know, because I'm not that person. But I just kind of feel like sometimes, man, that's not a good person right there. Like,
Right. Well, here's the thing, though. Don't confuse what somebody does with who they are, because there's two different things, you know. Because you know, I'm not saying that your thinking is incorrect, you know, because it's your opinion and you have a right to it, and you know, and if you want to believe that's the way things are, dude, you know, more power to you, and I will never say you're wrong.
Yeah, what's your perspective?
My perspective, because I've had different experiences with you, right? And I've been around some guys that are like freaking awesome soldiers, bro. They'll run through fire. They'll take the bullet. You know, they won't leave you behind. Even if they know you're dead, they'll run through the fire to pull your body out, because they got to bring your body home to your family, right? And you know, and you see them now. This dude's he's a hero, you know, up and down. He's a hero, right? And he does that on the battlefield, but he comes home and he drinks and he smokes and he gets into bar fights and he abuses his kids. You know, that's who he is. You know, the heroic things that he did, it isn't really who he is. So I don't confuse the two. You know, what you do is not who you are. You know, I'm more, accomplishments do mean a lot, but I'm more interested in who you are as an individual, as opposed to what you're doing in the world. You know, I don't confuse the two, because to me they're different. And again, I base that solely on my experience. You know, 'cause the guy might be the best jiu-jitsu black belt. You know, he might destroy everybody, you know, on the mat, but like you said, he might not be a good person off the mat, and you know, that which doesn't take away from his ability on the mat. Just like, you know, some of the soldiers I've seen, you know, the fact that their private life is ruined doesn't mean that they weren't good soldiers, and I wouldn't want to go to war with them. You know, they're just two different things.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Now, what's in the future for you? You know, you're at a point in your life where you've had quite a few accomplishments, a lot of life experience. You're 55, or how old are you now? 59?
I'm 57.
57. What's at this point in your life, what do you see? How do you see yourself moving on in the future? Because you seem like the kind of guy that's like, I still got a lot of life to live.
Yeah. Well, no, I still have goals that I want to accomplish. And, you know, some of them involve jiu-jitsu, but many of them don't, you know. At some point, I wouldn't mind giving back to the jiu-jitsu community, maybe being, assisting with the kids class or an adult class, not necessarily being the instructor, you know, because, you know, I don't want that kind of pressure, you know.
Yeah.
You know, because I want to, jiu-jitsu has always been my fun place, and that's, you know, where I want to keep it. You know, I want to do that. I want to, obviously I want to work on cars. You know, I want to continue to do that, because that, you know, working with my hands is always been fun. I want to, you know, I might get back into woodworking and maybe make some furniture or some frames or something. You know, I want to travel. I want to take advantage of the MAC flights. You know, when you're a military retiree, you can go onto an Air Force base, and if there's room on the airplane, you can jump on the airplane and go wherever it goes, and it's like $10.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
have you done that already?
I have not, because I'm not technically a retiree yet, because you don't hit retirement in the reserves till you're 60.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, right now I'm considered a retired reserve, but so I'm still semi on reserve status. So if something really bad were to happen, they could still call my name.
Huh.
Right? It's not going to happen. No one's going to take a 57-year-old man into combat. You know, just,
Right.
you know, I just
Things got really bad.
Yeah. You know, my name's just on a list somewhere, right? But when I hit 60, my name gets taken off that list, transferred to this other list. And at that point, I'll get the full military retirement, and you know, which includes you know, monetary compensation for my time, and includes other benefits. And like I said, one of them includes being able to jump on an airplane.
Like what kind of planes we talking here?
It's going to be a transport plane. It could be a C-130. You know, the all I've ever flown military is C-130s, which is a horrible flight, but it gets you there.
Yeah.
You know, but they have others. I think they have like I don't know the military nomenclature, but they have some planes that are like KC-11s, which are passenger planes that are like, you know, full seats, the whole thing, like a passenger transport. You know, like a regular civilian aircraft. They have some planes that are like that just move troops around. So, you know, and it's one of these that they there's no guarantees with it, because it's called space available. So it's if there's space available, and if somebody with a higher priority shows up, they can bump you off the flight. You know, so you know, you kind of gotta accept rejection if you're gonna take that flight.
Right. Yeah. Now you've competed as a black belt.
I have.
How did that go? Because
I got beat up. I'll be honest with you. No, but the thing was with that is, honestly, I set a goal for myself that, hey, I want to compete. You know, I got to compete once as a brown belt before my motorcycle accident, and so I had competed at every level at that point, from white through brown, and I'd never competed as a black. And I was like, you know what? I need to finish it up. I need to finish this off. I need to compete as a black belt. So
how many times did you do that?
I did it once.
Oh, okay.
You know, my body's still kind of beat up, you know, from all the stuff that I've done. And, you know, and I knew it was not something that I could do from one day to the next. So, I started training, I'm going to say, June of 22. I believe June of 22, because I was hoping to compete in December. And I ended up getting sick around October. So I wasn't going to be in shape to compete in December. So I waited and I competed in April of 23. And, you know, I got my body in shape as best as I could. I ended up dropping like 14 pounds to go to a lower weight class, because I was undersized for the 205 to the 200 weight class. I was undersized. I knew I was, and I was just going to get ragdolled if I competed there. So I went down to the 180s, 185, 187 weight class. And the first guy, he just straight outsmarted me right off the bat. And the second guy, he outworked me. You know, he got position on me, and he just worked me till I wore down. And I didn't feel bad about being outsmarted, but I felt bad about being outworked, because in my entire jiu-jitsu career, I had never been outworked. You know, which doesn't mean I won. I always won, but you know, I had never been outworked. So that second loss, because of that, it bothers me a little bit. But at the same time, I'm like, my body's so beat up. I don't know. Part of me is like, dude, did you really have a place on that mat? You know, should you really have been there? Did you really earn that spot? You know, with the way, you know, you're by the shape you are, or was it just your ego saying, hey man, you need to close this out? I don't know. I mean, I was in the best shape I had been in a while, but I don't know if I was actually in fighting shape. Were
these guys younger than you, or are they pretty close in age?
They were both a little younger than me, but we're talking 2-3 years max.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were all 50 and above.
Okay. You plan on doing it again?
I don't know. Like I said, it was a goal that I set for myself, and I can say that I achieved it. I'm not 100% satisfied, but I just have to listen to my body to see if I can get, because I don't want to. If I were to compete again, I don't want to do it halfway. I want to be sure that my body is 100% ready for it, not just to check a box, but to actually, to actually be ready for it, completely ready for it. And this last time, I don't really feel that I was. Hopefully next time, if there is a next time.
Now, obviously, recovery for someone who's 57 is going to be a lot different for someone like my age, who's 45, and even more so for someone who's 25.
Correct.
What's that been like for you? How do you recover? Like, what advice can you give for young, middle-aged people who?
Actually, this is going to sound a little dumb, maybe dumb, I don't know. Your recovery has less to do with the way you take care of your body and more to do with what you put in your body.
Oh, that's interesting.
If you're eating clean, your body's going to recover better because it's being better treated. It's under less stress. What you eat puts your body under stress. Putting alcohol in your system, putting narcotics in your system, doing other things like that puts your body under stress.
Not getting enough sleep, maybe.
Not getting enough sleep, all these things. So, and like I said, it's super important that, nutrition, everything begins with your nutrition. And
now, for people who don't know, you've lost some weight.
Yeah, I went, like I said, I lost about 14, 15 pounds to compete, and I've pretty much kept that weight off.
Yeah, I can see, yeah.
Yeah.
So the eating so what we consume is going to determine how well you recover.
Correct. And it more so in your later years, because when you're young, your body just has so much human growth hormone, has so much testosterone, and everything is working at your prime levels. Because there's stuff that I could do and eat when I was 21, 22, that there's no way I could do it now. I mean, if I did that now, I would be down for days.
Well, how have you changed your diet? What are you eating? What have you changed about your diet that's kept the weight off and you feel better?
Well, the biggest change I did is I went on intermittent fasting. So my first meal a day is at 1 o'clock. And at 1 o'clock, every day I have a bowl of soup, right? And I'll make sure, and the soup that I have is under 200 calories.
So it's basically just one small bowl of soup.
Correct.
And it's not with crackers and cheese.
No, it's 200. My lunch is 200 calories, and then when I snack on what's considered protein-rich snacks, cheese, nuts, and low glycemic fruits, which would be like apples and grapes. Those are like my little snacks. And then I have a normal dinner. And I try to avoid white colored food. So white tortillas, white rice, white potatoes, all that stuff is heavy in starch. And being diabetic, I'm not supposed to have it anyways.
Oh, that's right. So you considered the fact that you're diabetic with this diet.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So overall, I'm consuming anywhere from 1,800 to 2,200 calories a day. So like I said, very, very low caloric count for my lunch, but I have a normal dinner. I have my dinner about 6, and then I have a little fruit snack maybe at 8, and then I don't eat again until 1 o'clock the next day.
Was it mentally hard for you to make this change?
No, not really, because it just reminded me back of my days in the Army. In the Army, you miss a lot of meals. You're always a little bit hungry. So it's kind of, I'm like, yeah, I'm 19 again, with this little hunger. And in a lot of ways, it kind of motivates you, you know, having that little bit of hunger, you know, that physical discomfort. You know, it's kind of motivating some days. But you know, maybe I'm just weird in that manner.
You had made a comment that the mats don't lie.
Correct.
What does that mean to you?
To me, it's what do you call it? The mats don't lie meaning that it's the most honest place on the planet. You know, your skill or lack of skill, your maturity or lack of maturity is going to show on the mats. You know, by the way that you move, by the way that you lock in a submission. You know, I've worked with trained with some guys that, you know, I obviously hated working with them because they did not respect the tap. You know,
you've had some guys. That's interesting. I've never dealt with that. What happened? Who were they?
It was
what is that?
It was at my first school. It was a purple belt. His name was Justin. He wouldn't let you go unless you tapped twice. So you would tap the first time. Then when he felt the first tap, he would torque the technique a little harder. So you would tap a little harder the second time. Then he let you go.
Interesting.
And he did that for a little bit. But the instructor caught on, and he was like, "Hey, come with me." And the instructor did the same thing to him. And every time this guy would try to play that game, the instructor would, "Hey, come with me." So he was so he did that enforcement to make sure, hey, you know, there's certain, how can I say that? There's certain decorum, certain manners have to be followed on the mat.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, you know, that guy, he was immature. You know, yeah, he was a purple belt. He had a high colored belt, but he was immature. You know, and that showed by the way he conducted himself on the mat.
Yeah, that was kind of the type of mentality that I was talking about.
Yeah.
When it comes to like, hey, before we give you a black belt, I'm gonna make sure that you're not immature.
Yeah.
You know. What advice would you give to a new practitioner or a young practitioner? What have you learned in your many years, over 20 years of being a jiu-jitsu practitioner?
It's, you know, you got to show up. It's like everything else in life, man. You got to show up, you know. I equate my jiu-jitsu journey was very much like my military journey. You show up, you put in the work, you get stripes, you get promotions. You know, you just keep working at it, and they're just gonna come. You know, the day you quit is the day you quit, the day you stop getting promotions. You know, and one guy, I've seen this. Several guys do videos on YouTube where they always said the hardest belt to get is a white belt because not everybody starts.
What do you think of that?
I think that's true. Yeah, I think it's a very small percentage of the population even begins the journey. You know, the hardest part is the beginning.
I would agree. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the actual percentage is, but I always use the percentage of only 1% of the population actually trains jiu-jitsu. And then a very small percentage of that 1% actually do tournaments and compete. It's still a small community. I don't think people realize just how small it is, you know.
Yeah, but it's grown exponentially since I began, because we're looking at when I first started, right, there was maybe one jiu-jitsu gym in a city, right? You know, one black belt to service the entire city, right?
Yeah, now, maybe a little more. Yeah.
You know,
a couple of cities.
Yeah, now you go to some cities, bro. There's more than one gym on the block.
Yeah.
So, you know,
it's on every corner.
Right. You know, so back in the day, there was maybe one guy, one black belt in the city. Now there's times where he's not even the only black belt on the block. You know. In my building, I share at work. We share a building with Transit Police Services, which is our Horry County sheriffs do our policing. And since I've been there, there's been, I think, 3 other jiu-jitsu black belts have transitioned through that department or through that assignment. You know, so, you know, I'm not, there's times where I'm not even the only black belt in my building.
That's crazy. Yeah, they're everywhere. I think it's good for society, you know.
Yeah.
I think jiu-jitsu's been good to
Right.
our communities as a whole. I mean,
well, everything that brings positivity is good, man. It's not just, you know, karate could be good. We could say same about karate, about kung fu, about, you know, any other martial art, you know, as long as it's bringing positivity, you know, to the community, you know, everything's a plus.
Yeah. Hi, man. I really appreciate you coming on the show, man. I'm hoping to have you back on again, man.
Oh, I'd love to come back here, man. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Jaime Hernandez, black belt, jiu-jitsu, Army vet. Thanks, brother.
Thank you, brother.